There you go. Yeah. Speaking of declining enrollment, I was in a conversation with a parent from Smith Academy. I didn't realize Smith Academy was so low on its enrollment.
Mhm.
Their 10th grade only has 7 students in it. I
Wow.
know. They only have 73 in total in 9 through 12, and they just moved they only have 134 students, I think. 100, they only had like 108 last year, 7 through 12, and they moved their 6th grade up. So I think they have,
Hmm.
and I don't know, I forget, they added
Hmm.
like 20 or something like that. But
Yeah, and an article I just saw just before I opened this up and scanned real fast, it was talking about Pioneer having 16 graduating seniors, and then it said that I don't know, how many came from each town, but they said then the rest was like seven that were. I may have this wrong, but their point was a number of those students were school choice students. And,
Mhm.
they raised the issue that, when you get $5,000 to do that, but the cost, to the towns and the benefits that those kids get for that amount of money, it doesn't obviously cover the per
yeah,
pupil cost. So,
I mean,
They
what?
they they might have included Vernon students in there, which
Yeah, yeah.
pay
yeah, okay.
I mean,
eight
I give an. I
18,000.
mean, if you want to start the meeting, I can give an update on the Mars if we want to wait. I went to the Mars. I did listen to the entire Mars
Okay.
presentation.
All
So
right. So let me get this started and then let's go through. It's a pretty focused agenda. We have some items and some updates and then that's it. So our last meeting wasn't that long. I don't anticipate this one is going to be as well. So good evening. Welcome to this remote meeting of the Sixth-Town Regional Planning Board being held on Wednesday, March 25th. And we do have a quorum. So I'm calling the meeting to order. We're going to have a roll call vote. Greg Snedeker,
here,
Alan Genovese is here, Deb Bloomer, Steve, Deb, you're on mute. Yeah, she's here. Steve,
Steve's here.
and Bill,
Yes.
and Karen O'Neill,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes,
and we also have Kelly Sykes is here from the representative from Irving. So in accordance with House Bill 62 of the 194 General Courts, all votes will be taken via roll call vote. And so I also want to, if we have someone in, no one's now here now, but I was going to welcome those that decided to join. And this meeting is being recorded. If we do have technical difficulties, we'll try to resolve them. If we're not able to do that, we will need to postpone the meeting and we'll reschedule it. So let me just hit a couple of quick agenda items, Greg, and we'll come
yes,
back to what you learned. So the first one is yeah, one in a row. So we have the agenda. Now we have the minutes, and I just want to note that it was a slip of the finger because the 7 was next to the 8, and it says approval of the March 18th minutes, but that should be, of course, March 17th minutes. So those were sent to folks ahead of time, and I would. Does anyone have any comments before I entertain a motion to approve them?
Leiden is misspelled.
It is Leyden.
this is what
Okay.
happens when Alan takes
Yeah,
the minutes.
absolutely. And try to do it off AI. This is my fifth set now. You'd think I'd be getting good at it. No. Um,
Well, it's interesting. You'd think that your word processor would have
yeah.
alerted you to that instead of alerted you to Northfield.
Hey, they couldn't even get that right on Saturday Night Live. They called it Layden, I think, or something.
It's funny. When you drive into Leiden and you ask your GPS, it does not know that word. It does not know how to spell that word, and it sends you to some place out in East Oshkosh, not Leiden. So they say Leiden or something, and it's
Yeah,
like
they say
it was
Layden.
terrible. I didn't know. And anyway, I apologize, Jane. That was obvious typo. So I would entertain a motion to approve the March 17th minutes then as amended.
I'll move it.
All right.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Seconded by Greg. We do a roll call vote. Greg,
Yes.
Alan's yes. Deb,
Yes.
Steve. Thank you,
Yes.
Steve. Bill,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
and Jane.
Yes.
All right. And so, just the six-town regional agreement, I am pleased to announce that Greg and I had a very productive meeting.
Oh,
We went over a couple of changes. We have finalized that document. They are sending it to legal for their review. We will send it to our legal counsel for their review. If there's some discrepancies they want to talk about, we'll let those folks work that out, and then it'll come back and we'll have our final vote on that. So that's wonderful. The next part to
The
that is
final vote.
yeah. How many finals have I said? I don't even want to say that. I should
no.
knock on wood or something. The
But
other,
I would just chime in and that I think both documents are ready. I mean, I did a final pass on all the spell check and grammar checks and tightened them all up. And then because you can the nice thing is you can do that within Word and it catches most of them, if not all of them. And
How did it miss the grammar in the title?
well, which one are you talking about? Is that do you have the most recent?
Yeah,
Let me see.
agreement. It should be agreement among the towns of, not between. Between is two.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that's been in there forever.
you're right, because originally it was between. It was going to be two districts. So
Yes.
now it is among. Thank you,
Yep.
Karen.
No.
Yes.
It's funny in the one that I have here, 323, it says among the towns. But let me check is there another page, Karen, or am I looking at the wrong
This
page?
is
Here,
directly following the table of contents, that page.
here, I'm gonna share it and just see if this lines up. So here,
Yeah,
this
see, right up there, title.
where is it? Oh, between. Look at that. There it is. So you can look at that, many times and not see it.
Well, because people don't read titles.
That's
That's
true.
right.
I didn't. Well, the title's up here, but we get it.
Mhm.
Thank you. All right, I'll change that in the five town as well.
Right. So moving on. So the five town, I was going to say that we had the benefit of learning what suggestions Desi had regarding the six town, and so we took everything that was applicable to that and was able to cut it and paste it and put it into the six town. Because if they approved it in the five towns, then they better be approving it in the six town. So that really sped things up. Greg looked at it again. I looked at it again, and it went. It went in yesterday, so they now have a clean copy and they have the edited copy. And that was a new approach that we used in this session, which I wish we had used before. Desi has a different format that they use, and it's not very compatible with our track changes. So they were looking at theirs, we were looking at ours, and it was pretty difficult. So what we did for this time that really sped it up is they had on their screen their track changes, and they had available to them so they could look at that. On the screen, we had our document with the track changes. So they could look through their comments and then look at what we gave them to see if it was corrected. And boy, did that streamline things faster. So that's something to learn from this. So I'm hoping that on Monday, we actually have another meeting now with Desi. So they're moving this along to talk about the five town. So we might have that all done on Monday. And then they also have the long range plan. And Greg put a lot of time into addressing those, the concerns that they had there. So we might actually have all these documents in place very, very soon. So that's a good news all around there. And let me just also say while I'm talking, the ballot question We're, doing some more research on that and what that's going to look like. I have a call into Kevin because our attorney, Kevin Brosnahan, to have a conversation about his suggestion of how that be worded, as we want to make sure that it's coordinated with the ballot question he will be writing to present to the towns, and having that lined up nicely with what the legislators will be amending and and their ballot question, because we know that they'll be filing an amendment to what presently the House had done. So we'll follow that up and give you more information when we get that clear. And then we'll have a conversation when we know that that process has been approved with select boards to find out their timeline and when they think would be best to have it in the town and so forth. So we'll work really closely, collaboratively with select boards to make those final decisions, because we don't want to just tell them here's when you have it and they have the 35 days and they have to fit in that. We'd like to find out when would they like it so it could fit into the window that they're thinking about on a ballot question for all towns to vote on. Greg, I'll pause there. You had the pleasure, you took the time of watching the
Mars.
Mars presentation, and their focus was not quite as refined as you were hoping. So, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was good. They kind of went over chapter 70
Oh,
and
by the way, Pat Scheer just joined us on at 6:44. Thank you, Pat. Go
yeah,
ahead.
they went over the chapter 70, I mean, briefly, the chapter 70 whole harmless provision. Um, but what I thought was interesting was, yeah, and they were advocating for more minimum aid. So instead of the 75,000 that the governor is proposing, they want it to be 150, $150 per student. Did I say 75? 75 per student, 150 per student, which would
Mhm.
help the towns in terms of and the districts with their budgets, because a lot of them are facing deficits right now. Um, but what I thought was really interesting was, they didn't really talk about regionalization at all, which I thought, I mean, there was just one sort of brief moment, and it seemed kind of odd because they kind of came out right from the start saying that hold harm is the problem, with chapter 70, and the problem of the towns, and that this is the cause of the financial difficulties. And then they went on to say that within the next 2 years 90% of the state is going to be in hold harmless.
Oh,
And what I thought was really interesting was, what they didn't mention was, well, the whole reason is because the entire state is suffering structural declines in enrollment. I mean, the entire state, they lost 15,000 students, between
mhm.
last year and this year. And on average, over the years, they've been, experiencing, anywhere from, they said, 3 to 4 is normal, sometimes as high as 7, but they had like 14 to 15 this 1,000. And and then they just go right back into like, well, but hold harmless is the problem. But the thing they didn't acknowledge was hold harmless is actually a progressive side of the district, I mean, of the Chapter 70 formula, in that it, as they even admitted, that towns, when they see their enrollment decline, they're in basically in debt to the state, and that the state picks up that debt.
Mhm.
And so that's a progressive part of the formula. And so what I was kind of confused, I'm like, they're sending mixed messages. It's like, well, Chapter 70 is set up to give more state aid when enrollments are increasing, which makes sense. You need more, resources, you need more funds when your districts are increasing enrollment. But now they're saying like, well, don't really have a problem with that, but they also wanted to have more money when districts are in decline. So, as opposed to holding them harmless. So, it's sort of like they're asking for more money no matter which way the direction's going. And it just seems sort of odd that they didn't, acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is, I looked up Franklin County, and we've lost almost 4,000 students. I mean, just gone in the last 30 years. I mean, 4,000. That's a structural decline due to families not having more children. They're having less children. The population's aging. We have less affordable housing. We have less available housing. We have less senior housing. There's a lot of reasons, but it just struck me that the entire country is suffering from declining enrollment, with fertility rates only at 1.6 for every two parents. And yet, we're not really discussing about the what we've been discussing in this planning board, which is you can't build back the economies of scale without bringing back enrollment. You can't do it. You can't bring back. All you can do is put a Band-Aid on a gate, a wound that's growing. Basically, with declines in enrollment, you're getting a bigger and bigger wound, and yet you can't solve it with throwing more money at it. And so I just thought it was really fascinating that they really kind of defaulted to, well, we just need more money. And it was very evident to those of us who understand the formula but you just admitted that the entire state's going to be in hold harmless, which means the entire state is suffering from declining enrollment, structural declines. And, how do we restructure our educational system to bring enrollment, because we won't be able to offer the programs because they're like, well, we need more money to be able to offer the programs that larger high schools and, larger schools can. I'm like, you can't do that without enrollment. It's not possible. That's what our findings show. You can't manufacture kids with state aid.
Maybe AI will.
What's that?
Maybe AI will.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
gee, no.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I think if there's one thing we've learned in our research, which is, you know, it's one thing to throw more, to have more available funds, but if you're declining enrollment, you still are stuck with, at the middle and high school level, especially, of not being able to build your programs. You can have ten students wanting to play football. You can throw as much money as you want at that, give them a new field and more beautiful jerseys and footballs. And yet, if you can't get enough kids to field the team, you're still not going to have a team. So, I mean, that's the thing that wasn't talked about, and it was a little discouraging.
I went to that. I zoomed in on that too.
Did you? Yeah. What did you
Yeah.
think?
I was very disappointed.
Yeah.
I thought that they really did not understand what's going on with the world. And if
Right.
they did understand it, they were hoping that they could fool us into thinking it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shane, I would ask, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just thought it was a very naive presentation
Yeah.
on their part.
So it seems to me that the question that we might want to be asking is, if they had more money, what would they do with it? Because from my outside looking in, it looked like, well, what they would do with it is put it toward health insurance, or put it toward maybe not laying off more teachers, or put it toward salaries, whether it be teachers, administrators, or whatever. But they'd be trying to not lay people off or eliminate programs, but they would be just putting that money to try to slow down, for lack of a better word, the bleeding, just slow it down. But that's just going to continue, even with more money. So to me, I was thinking of it as an equation. A plus B equals C. A is that more money will be helpful. B is you're going to have larger enrollments, so you can use that more money to have the electives and more services and bring back some programs. And C would equal a better result, for students, more opportunities for students. So if you have no money, if you have money in A, but nothing in B that would benefit students, then your equation is not going to have the result that we're looking for. So this is something that we should do a presentation on. It certainly should be something that we should do an article on, so that we have people understand this. And I had a conversation with Andrea Lamas today, and followed up. Greg also was in contact, and she said we could have a couple more pages. She liked the presentation a lot. She said, I like the phases and so forth, but it would be helpful to have an explanation is why are we looking at regionalization? Make it more clear in terms of to have more programs by having more kids at those levels. Show a chart or something for the declining enrollment so the public, because unless you came to a presentation or or a forum, you didn't see that information. So she basically said it'd be really helpful in the town report to to answer that question. So Greg and I are going to get something to her on Friday, and then she'll include that. So the first part has all your signatures. Where that's our phases, which was she thought was very good. She would like a second piece, so we'll add that, and then maybe that will help people understand why we think that regionalization would address more opportunities for kids, and then we could continue, we would advocate for some more state aid, but it would go along with benefiting kids, not just trying to put it toward what's existing and keep it. So,
Bill has his hand up.
oh, thank you, Bill. I thought that was my cursor waving.
I'll give you a thumbs up at the appropriate time.
Okay.
Look, I think a lot of this discussion about financing is when people are talking about more money, they're also talking about inherently decoupling funding from population and numbers of students. So, which is the problem in all of this discussion, is to keep equal services to smaller numbers of kids means you're going to have a high budget on a per pupil basis. The arguments about hold harmless and the amount of money are clearly based on the recommendation that should be funded at 60 million and it's struggling to be funded at 20. So the money isn't there. We are in declining, but all discussions are around budgetary matters and needing increased aid are not at all tied to student numbers. I guarantee it. And I appreciate that we have to do that because that's how you justify it to the towns at town meeting. But you can look at the headlines recently of the school budgets that are being announced, and most of them are running into some kind of flack just on their own merit. So that's what I have to add to the
Yeah.
part of the conversation.
And another thing that I think is important, because we've brought up and I've brought up, so I'm responsible for this. I've brought up, you have X number of kids, and we have pick a superintendent, $200,000 or $180,000, and here it's the market value. And I would approach that this way: if that's the market value, that's fine. I mean, I don't want to, downplay that. If that's what a superintendent, would be getting. What I would be trying to point out is that the salary is maybe appropriate for the position, but to have the benefit of the expertise in the person at that salary being able to handle or have more students and staff and programs and so forth, then it's more efficient for that salary to be working with a larger a district than having that salary and you have a much smaller district. So I need to make sure I'm careful that I'm not sending the message of, oh, well, you know, we're paying too much. That if that's the market value, fine, but let's get the maximum out of it for the skills and knowledge that person has. I don't know if that makes sense to folks, but it does to me. Um, so the other item that we have on the agenda is the consultant, communication consultant. As I mentioned at the last meeting, we were fortunate. We had 5 people that expressed an interest. We had different reasons why 3 decided not to send something forward. We have 2 that did. Both seem to be certainly were you know, had the credentials or the experience to do a good job. The person that looked like they could add more value to what we're doing was Mary Broderick. She put in a bid. Hers is lower than the other person, and she has, you know, a lot of what we're asking is for expertise in writing and critiquing writing. She actually has a bachelor's degree in English. She also is familiar with us. She also has a doctorate in education. And you know, when you read her background, it's pretty broad. So she's very familiar with us in our work, and I think we're very fortunate that she decided um, to respond. And so, you know, I know you've given us the authority to make an appointment so we could, you know, move forward. And I was going to ask you to authorize the appointment because any administrative action, I mean, you gave us permission for administrative action, but normally, you know, it should be followed by the board or the committee to take a vote to approve of the administrative action. In this particular case, I haven't contacted either candidate, reviewed the resumes, and so we're in a position that I would be asking someone to make a motion to engage the services of Mary Broderick, not to exceed the it was 3,000, I think, $530 dollars. And because I think of her experience, she might be she'd be able to do more
Alan,
in a short amount of time. Yes.
I would just suggest that what was our original budget for that?
Well, we didn't have one. We did not want to go over 4,000 because we were
Okay,
trying to,
I would say why don't we approve it up to 4,000 in case there's extra time that, you know, she may need so we don't have to come back for another vote. I mean, it doesn't mean that we accept her, you know, we
right.
still accept her quote as
Yeah.
written, but you know, if things change, it means we don't have to come back.
Yeah. I don't think the board members are aware of this because I never brought it to your attention. But as we were winding down last time, Mary felt we were having some opposition, and Mary wasn't able to do some of the things that we were asking her to do. And through no fault of her own, she just couldn't get the cooperation. And the end result was she did not put an invoice in for her last payment
Oh,
because she felt she didn't do the work to deserve it. She was trying to, but I'll just leave it at that. There were challenges that wouldn't allow her to
yeah.
meet with some groups and do something. So you know, that speaks to her professionalism and it's like, you know, and I called her and I said, you know, why haven't you done this? She says, because I just don't feel it's right. I don't think I deserved it because I wasn't able to do that. And I said, okay, thank you. So I never shared that with you. So um did someone want to make a motion? Steve, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, I'd like to move it, you know,
Okay.
And I'll second.
with Greg's statement there. I like that.
Up to 4,000, just
to
in case.
4,000.
Yeah, so we got a
Yeah.
little wiggle room. Yeah.
Okay. So we had Steve made it, Karen seconded. Any other discussion? All right, a roll call vote. Greg,
Yes.
Alan is yes. Steve,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Deb.
Yes.
Okay, so that motion passes unanimously. I also see that Mike Jackson is in, but I didn't see when he came in.
Very early.
So, oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So that was the other major thing we've covered.
No, I
I
just,
think but you can hear my dog. We've covered all the items on the agenda. The next part would be, our next meeting. Right now, we're scheduled for, I think it was April
seven.
7th, and we might have the long range plan. That would be nice if we could then, vote on that, and then we will get all these documents up on the website. The two outstanding issues that I can think of that we need to do. One of them will be to make our ask of the attorney very clear in terms of what we want him to do now. Um, the other is a letter to the select boards, giving them an update of where we are, probably within it within the next 2 weeks, so that they're all fully knowledgeable of what's going on. And so I'm hoping we can meet on the 7th and wrap some of those other things up. And then our attention can be focused on the outreach, and we'll start moving those things along because that's April, May, and June. And then we're out of funds. So let's maximize our time and the efforts that we're putting in. Greg, any comments on that? I know you've been talking about possibilities of the outreach and things. So maybe we can go back and
Well, I mean,
revisit.
we have our presentations, I mean, we're going to have to put it within a new context because so many of these towns are facing overrides, and I mean, DOR and DESI are preparing to give presentations in April on 1/12 budgets because there are towns and districts across the state that are looking. I think we mentioned this last time because of ESSER and ARPA funds that kind of masked some of the budgets and sort of the reality of when that money goes away. So it's kind of gone away, and now we're dealing with increasing costs of insurance and a lot of other things, and so these districts are struggling to keep their costs down, and the towns are already sort of bumping up against their levy limits, and so there's a lot of concern at the state level that there's going to be a lot of 1/12 budgets moving forward for school districts, and they're going to have to figure out how to probably have to cut more. So I think knowing that, I think it is kind of opening up the conversation. I know that there are a lot more towns that are now talking about regionalization. I spoke with a select board member from Granby. They are now going to be forming a committee to look into, potentially regionalizing with either South Hadley or Belchertown, because they're sort of in the same boat. So, I think we have, I mean, it's sad to say that we have this situation is kind of working in the favor of regionalization. Not that, I feel good about declining enrollment, but, we have at least, we're giving a pathway to one way of mitigating it for not all districts, but for some.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to add this as well, but there was a nearby district that actually asked the question of could they join us? And so, Greg, you let them know that there's a pathway
Yeah,
for someone to come in. So I didn't know if you
yeah.
want to elaborate or just leave it at that.
No, it's fine. I mean, I don't think it's a secret. I think, Greenfield is also looking at their escalating costs and their declining enrollment. And I did have a school committee member, to be honest, I have to remember her name, but reach out and just wanted more information and was curious about what's going on in our region because we're seeing it in all our schools.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
Seems like
And
everywhere they're dropping the librarian position
I
too.
know. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
yeah.
It's tough.
So, we our approach is trying to have a structural change to address the declining enrollment for the benefit of kids. And so it might work for some times at towns, it may not work for others, but it's at least in one alternative that people can take a look at, because clearly doing the same thing and expecting a different result is not going to work. So something will have to change. Someone did mention, I think I said before, about, well, why don't you share central office, and have one central office and save, money there? And certainly that's a possibility. The problem is that, okay, that becomes efficient, but you haven't done anything again for kids in the classroom. So,
Well, maybe, but I think the
or very
important
little,
thing,
yeah.
yeah, I think the important thing is understanding that you get a lot more, in quotes, cost benefit for your cost when you regionalize, because you can bring back programs that the only way you can bring them back is through enrollment. You can't do it by throwing, funds at it. So, and that's
Yeah.
what we've learned. So I think that's our challenge, is to really educate people that they're going to receive a lot more benefit, and that if they think just throwing more money at it's going to save, in quotes, save their school, well, it may, stop the bleeding, but with the continuing declines in enrollment, which the projections are that it's continuing to decline, and may level off, sometime in the next 10 years. But, it's just going to be really challenging.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So Dorinda has come in time, I think, for we're going to actually be adjourning.
Hey, I made it. Good job, guys.
Appreciate it. So you can be part of that roll call vote to adjourn. But
Wait,
this was
hold on,
this
hold
was
on, 'cause you may
productive.
have
Yeah.
do you have a question
Yeah.
or a comment?
Yeah, did
Yeah.
we vote anything that I should upload to the website?
We
Go ahead.
No, I mean, we voted to go and enter into an agreement with Mary Broderick for her services, which we think is a good fit, because she's got a history with us and we don't have to sort of explain what's going on. So that'll be really good. And then we gave an update on the Mars event last week, which was on rural and declining enrolled schools. And the 5 and 6 town regional agreements are off to DESE for legal review. So we think they're pretty much done, at least among all of us. We think that that's the case, not between all of us. So that's good.
Okay, so nothing to upload just yet till they finalize on their end.
Right.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
along
then-
with the long range plan. So we're hoping that those will be, and thank you, Dorinda, for keeping your fingers in that part to help out along those lines. So very much appreciated. So as soon as we get those, we'll put them out there and we'll get them to select boards. So I think, does anyone else have any other business that we should be?
I just want to remind you that BNC TV, I had another email from them that's saying anything we can do.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's great. Yeah, I really do
know,
think we,
The
now that we're
recording
kind
of
of,
this meeting, they would put that up. Or anything else we want to give them, like the charts that you're preparing for Northfield. Bernardson's town report's already gone to the printer, so that's not going to do us any good over here.
oh, okay. Yeah. I guess so,
However,
folks.
Jane, there could be a handout, an insert that when they go in and they get their book, there could be an insert that they put in, right?
Potentially.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gonna
Okay.
come over- You're going to come over and insert them?
I
Well,
don't mind.
or it
I
could-
would
it
do
could-
that, or they
Yeah,
pick it
it
up
could
on their
be-
way in.
It can be a separate flyer, that they
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
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 I'm just saying, I don't know how many other towns have already sent them to the printer, but
Mm.
not that you shouldn't do it for Northfield, but you need to be sure all 6 towns get it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn at
Wait a
7:11.
second.
Well, yeah,
I missed what you said about the next meeting. Did you say April 2nd?
no, 7th.
Seven.
7th.
Yeah.
That's good because I have conflict on the 2nd.
All right. Do we want to have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Greg, and a second.
Second.
Jane.
Count on everybody.
Okay, not debatable. Roll call vote. Greg,
Yes.
Alan, Genevieve, yes. Steve,
Yes.
Bill,
Yep.
Karen,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
and Dorinda.
Yes.
All right, so we'll see you and I may send something out to give you an update along the way if we learn more. All right. So thank you, everyone. These are
Thank you.
nice meetings. They're focused. We get things done and
Yeah.
go enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Good
Yeah.
Have a
night.
Bye.
nice weekend.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Bye.
You too. Bye.